And good morning. Welcome to We Got Options with the Doctor and Son. And today our show is going to be about finances, budgeting, and thinking about buying a home. We have a lot of people out here doing that. So the name of our show today is Are Your Finances Driving You Crazy? And we're talking about that from a mental health standpoint and a wellness standpoint also, because having your finances in order, as we spoke about on some shows earlier, financial health care, financial self-care is a big part of being healthy and taking care of yourself. So today on the show, we have a special guest with us, Ms.Diamond Shakir. She is here. She is a realtor here in the Charlotte area, and I'm sure she's covering some other areas also. But we have her here today to just give us some tips and some good information about what's happening out here in 2023 and being a strong buyer when it comes down to getting ready to buy that home or purchase that new home that you're interested in purchasing. So we're going to welcome Diamond. Hello, Diamond. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me, Dr. McElwain. I'm excited to participate in this show today so that we can discuss the few things that's going on with people's financial wellness in 2023.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we are very happy that you decided and you had the time to kind of be with us from your busy schedule. Because I
I will
know,
always make time for you, Dr. McElwain.
yes, it is hot out here. The market is hot for realtors right now. So, yes.
Yes, it has been picking up. It's been an uptick this year. God has been good. I've been blessed, people being ready to buy, they've been pulling the trigger. So yes, it's been good.
Good deal. Good deal. What do you think is kind of urging people to get to the point where they're actually pulling the trigger and going for it?
A lot of buyers are coming back into the market because there's not as many multiple offer situations since some buyers have been priced out due to the interest rates rising. And even though people can, it's all about your mindset. You can either look at it a good way or a bad way, but it's giving people a lot more opportunity for their offer to actually be accepted for the buyers who do qualify.
Mhm.
So they're able to get inspections. It's just a lot easier and it's like more in the buyer's favor. So if we take a look back in history, like if you look back in 2020 when there was so many multiple offer situation, people were spending like 30, 40, $50,000 over list price. It was 30 offers on a property because interest rates were just historically low. It wasn't normal what was going
Mhm.
on, but
Yeah.
it was like just a time to be alive. It was just crazy. But now it's just, more in the buyer's favor for them to actually have like their inspection. Like it was crazy stuff going on back in 2020. Appraisals were being waived. People weren't getting inspections. It was just really like the seller was in full control of the transaction. So buyers are now able to, do their due diligence and, have some negotiating room and things like that. That's why buyers are more inclined to just go ahead and buy the house.
Nice. That's good to hear because, I think a few years ago it was wild out here. It was the wild, wild west when it came down to buying a house. But now it sounds like things are opening up a little bit more. People are really getting there. So I guess one of the big things that we want to make sure that we cover is what is it going to be like as far as budgeting, getting your finances together, and being able to actually be a strong buyer, or like you said, pull the trigger and go for it? What's going to be some of the things that people can look forward to doing?
I guess some of the things that they can do to prepare to buy a home is to, one, you just need to make sure you're credit worthy. Your credit score is probably number one. That's gonna get you the best interest rate possible.
Mm-hmm.
With interest rates rising, you want to make sure you're putting yourself in a position where the lender is giving you their best rate. So just making sure anything that is in collections, medical bills, Time Warner, Spectrum, anything that has been charged off has been paid for completely. and you have, documentation and evidence that you have paid this debt. Making sure your credit cards are in a healthy utilization. You want to make sure that, like, if we talk best case scenario, I guess I can give you best case scenario, and then I can just give you like moderate, and then like if you just need to be in a home, because everybody is in different situations. So I try to have a strategy for all scenarios, because ideally, of course, you will want everybody to make the best financial decision. So I'm going to give the ideal, but I got to give you the reality too. But ideally, you want to have your credit cards below 30%. You want to have, no charge-offs. You want to be in a position where your credit score is strong as possible, because Credit Karma may say your credit score is an 800, but when the loan officer pulls it, it's going to be a 30 to 50 point difference, because it's a harsher score. So you want to make sure your score is just as strong as possible, but every lender is different. Like, I have some lenders who aren't as critical. They give you boosts, they help with rapid rescores. If there's a will, there's a way. Um, but let's say you're not in, because that situation I just described are usually like six-figure earners, you
Yes.
know?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you're not a six-figure earner, and you're just a low to moderate income. Life has happened to you, and you still need a home, because we all know that's how you can build the wealth and get access to the cash, and have your emergency fund, because you're living in a bank.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you are in the low to moderate, income level, which is normal, which is most of America,
Mm-hmm.
um, as long as your collections are like below 2,000, 1,500, you don't want your collections to be over $1,500. And you don't want your credit card to be over 50%,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you can put 20% of your disposable income away to save for your down payment, that will be good too,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Just though, I think those are probably like the heavy hitters. Like, one of the biggest things is your credit score, because your credit score is compiled of a multitude of different factors. Then another part is just, having your down payment saved.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to have your down payment saved, because I mean, there's so many down payment assistance options, even for high earners.
Absolutely. Yes.
So you do, I mean, you want to have it just so that you can, like, if you're in a time crunch or something like that, or we get into the environment where interest rates drop again, and then you are in a multiple offer situation, that will increase your buying power when the seller knows that there's no red tape associated with this deal.
Okay. Gotcha.
But right now, down payment is happening all day. Like,
Oh,
yes,
good deal. That's good to
yes.
hear.
Yeah, right now, down payment assistance is happening all day, because the buyers are definitely in the driver's seat. People throwing out money. And then I
Wow.
guess the third thing, so you got your savings, your credit score, and just being disciplined,
Yes.
making sure you're serious, like knowing that, like, you don't want to just be kicking a tire, like waiting to make a decision. Like, you just need to
Mm-hmm.
have those things in place, and just be ready to be decisive.
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Well, I love that, Diamond. We really, really appreciate that, because I think the listeners out there really need to hear, okay, I'm ready to go for it. I'm ready to pull the trigger, but what do I do? I'm kind of lost out here. So this is very, very informational, I think. And this will be something that will definitely help support individuals with keeping things definitely situated and being able to push their very much their mental health and wellness along the way when it comes to finances. So we're going to come back with Diamond Shakir as our realtor that's going to talk to us more about finances. And so we will continue in a few minutes, and we're going to take a word from our sponsors now. And we're back with We Got Options, hosted by the Doctor and Son. And today we are talking with Diamond Shakir, and we're talking about budgeting, we're talking about financing, we're talking about, possibly purchasing a new home. The name of the show, of course, is Are Your Finances Driving You Crazy? And we are coming up with some good tips and tools that you can actually utilize. And that's why we brought Ms. Shakir on the show today to help us out. So we're going to segue back into kind of talking about earlier. You mentioned some of the you mentioned Credit Karma, and you mentioned the utilization of credit cards, knowing your utilization. I noticed you mentioned 30%, and that stuck out to me because I'm a big person that use, of course, Credit Karma just to watch my entire family, all three of us. I watch our not the scores per se, but we watch our credit utilization score, like how much we're using, our percentage. So I was going to get into that because I don't think people understand sometimes the difference between when they talk about credit utilization, their credit card utilization. And Diamond, I was thinking maybe you can help us understand it a little bit more, because sometimes people have more than one credit card and they're thinking, oh, I'm good. I got 30%, 30%, and 30%. I'm good. It's not quite like that, right?
Well, it depends on your overall limit in total.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have, for example, if you have a $30,000 limit overall, and it balances out, then yeah, it's fine, You just want to make sure that you're looking at the total limit, your total available credit for each credit card's added together. So once you add all of those up, as long as you're below 30% within your total available limit, you're good.
Yeah, I get that, because I think sometimes people don't realize that's still something you have to look at. And that's one of the reasons why, like I said, I use Credit Karma, is to be able to see that, because it will tell you what your your utilization is, how much credit card, how much utilization that you're using on a monthly basis. It gives you that percentage every month with Credit Karma.
Right. And that goes a part of your another thing that goes apart is like your debt to income ratio. I did exclude that piece of preparing to buy a home. And that's an important factor to consider for qualifying for a home, because lenders allow a certain amount of debt to income ratio. So some lenders, and what's a part of your debt to income ratio is your credit cards, your car payments, and your student loans. And your student loans, that can vary. So if you're on an income-based student loan repayment plan, then that's not going to impact your debt to income significantly. Like some people have income based where it's like $0, like teachers, or it could be 25. But if, like, for example, if you're a doctor, like doctors and surgeons and things like that, they have doctor loans where their debt to income is a lot larger that they allow. But on average, they usually allow about like 45%. If you want down payment assistance, though, your debt to income ratio needs to be lower. Like if you are looking to attain down payment assistance, you want your debt to income to be like 45% or 43. So that's something to take. Like 30% utilization rate is great if you have your down payment saved.
Yeah, I get
But
it.
if you don't, and you need like assistance or anything like that, you want to have your credit cards paid off. Really.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't want to have any lingering debt, so that you can qualify for, that's one of the qualifying factors for you to qualify for any of those type of programs.
Got you. Okay. I love it. And what do we say to and I think just now you were definitely focusing on our individuals that are working Americans. What about our individuals that are like entrepreneurs that are, trying to figure it out and got all this stuff happening and going on? What would you say for them?
Oh, yeah, you know what? I do need to tag my Instagram follow at the Dynasty Realtor because I basically have talked about all of this. But basically, if you're self-employed, you need to have 3 years of tax returns,
Mm-hmm,
ideally. You
mm-hmm,
can find some lenders, like, again, I am a resource and I am connected to a surplus of lenders because I always try to find a solution. I'm solution oriented, but let's ideally, so you can just be a strong self-employed buyer. You can walk into any bank. You want to have 3 years of tax returns, and you want to have 3 years of tax returns where you've actually claimed your income.
mm-hmm.
You haven't written everything off.
Yes.
You've actually paid taxes.
Yep.
And if so, if you have, broke told the government that you have broken even, you're telling the lender that you are broke, and nobody's
Mm-hmm.
lending to a brokey. So
Yep.
it's just like you have to make sure you claim your income. You just can't like fake it. A lot of self-employed people do that.
Yeah.
Or they'll try to do like a bank statement loan is an option. Like there's bank statement loans and entrepreneurship loans that you can do if you have written everything off. Because, like I said, I am solution. You can do that, but then you put yourself in a situation where you're not able to take advantage of what a first time home buyer needs. Let's say you're a first time home buyer. Most first time home buyer needs like certain things to make it just easier for you to get so you can get a lower down payment.
Mm-hmm.
You won't qualify for the lower down payment if you don't have your returns together. Because
Mm-hmm.
normally, if you're a strong first time home buyer, you can get 3% down instead of 10. That's a huge difference.
Big
So if you
difference.
did, yeah, that's 7%. So if you did not, if you weren't just responsible with like a CPA or just getting all that together, you're going to be in a whole nother type of situation as far as how much money you have to bring to the closing table. It's already really expensive. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not that big of a deal either with the IRS. Like you can just set up an installment plan,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and then
Mm-hmm.
that'll just go into your debt to income, like a credit card or a car note. So it'll be something that they just consider over your overall debt instead of you just saying you didn't make any money and you really just hustling backwards. Like it will tear your finances up as a self-employed person if you do not correctly file your taxes. You can't get anything. You can't qualify for anything. Even if you are trying to get business credit, lend anything, like you have to show documentation other than your bank statements.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And with that, I'm just going to mention, what I've experienced as a self-employed person, because I think it's relevant to say at this point that, my first few years, I can remember the accountant telling me, okay, Latasha, right now, we're going to get you at a point where you're breaking even, where you're not putting so much in, like maybe the first 7 years or whatever. I was breaking even. And he had me at that point. He said, because you're breaking even and you're kind of taking a good chunk of change, then I need you to put that money away. I need you to watch how you're spending and what you're doing in order to make sure that you're able to, have that money. Because when 7 years hit, and it happened just like clockwork with my CPA, when 7 years hit, we started paying the government. We started saying that, okay, she made money. She made money. And it started rolling. And at that point, he was like, every time, by the time you get to 10, 15 years, of course, we're in, our 15th, 16th year now, whenever the government says, hey, you owe money, we say, okay, we got that money sitting on standby, because that's how he, actually taught me to do everything. You know what I mean? And I think that was just amazing to be able to do that, because now, come April 15th, they say you owe, $12,000. I'm like, hey, here's your money. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. What do I owe for next year? Let me get ready to send that too. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah, and even another way to because I came to the conclusion like the money is going to go one way or another. Like you're
right.
going to have to if you didn't, like for me, for example, so I've been paying my taxes
Mm-hmm.
since I have been self-employed. That's just because I'm in real estate. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I already saw what was going on when you went to the loan officer and what some of the challenges other self-employed people were running into.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I have been in a position, but nobody likes to pay the IRS. So it's like there are other ways for you to still, and the reason why I personally don't like paying the IRS, or I look for the certain type of tax write-offs that are not being taken out of my net income, because
Mm-hmm.
that's what matters is what you're netting. If you
Mm-hmm.
still want to, I don't like to pay the IRS because I don't know where my money going, and I don't know what y'all doing. I don't know if it's going to the roads. I don't know if it's going to the jails. I don't know if it's funding things that I don't believe in. So you can also, give to charity if
Yes.
you want to write things off, like giving to a nonprofit, giving to the
Mhm.
summer camp, or tithing your 10%.
Yes. Yes.
That
Absolutely.
that that helps a lot.
Yes, yes. And I agree with you 100%. But with my based financial knowledge and learning from my CPA, of course, I don't like paying the IRS either. But I don't want them ever, coming to audit
To
me.
knock on you, right?
Exactly. Don't knock at my door. So I pay them faithfully. And I'm like, whatever you
Yes.
need, I got it.
Yes, you do. I would say best practice is, like take
Yeah.
20% of whatever you make and put it up.
Absolutely. Yes, I love that. And I think that's very helpful to people out in, great America here to hear that listen, take 20% of what you're making and put it up because you never know what's going to happen. It's not only just those emergencies and different things like that, but taxes do come around and you have to
You
pay
have
them.
to pay them, yes. And depending on what tax bracket you're in, like like if you're married and you
Yes.
have two incomes, you really need to
Mhm.
be taking 30%.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So, yes, those are the tips and tools that we all need so our finances do not drive us
Crazy.
crazy.
Yeah.
We have to stay, I tell people all the time, we have to make sure that our mental health with our finances is on point because it will drive us to that limit. So, with that,
Hmm.
we're going to take a commercial break and we're going to come back and before we finish up the conversation, we're going to let Diamond share all of her Instagrams and Facebooks and all of her information, website information, so that everyone would be able to make contact with her, in case they need a realtor or if they need someone to help them get ready to be a serious buyer, like she stated earlier. And, just for all that financial stuff you need when it comes down to buying a house or just being financially savvy in itself. So we're going to go to the commercial break and we'll be back. And we're back with We Got Options with the doctor and son. And today, of course, we're back on talking about, your finances driving you crazy and trying to make sure that we're giving some good tips and some tools out there that people can use, everyone can use, we can use, you can use. We just want to make sure that we're making some good decisions with our finances and not allowing it to drive us straight out of our minds because it really does. And we have Diamond Shakir with us. She is back and she will be joining us again for an additional show. We want to kind of go into a second part for Are Your Finances Driving You Crazy? So now we're going to turn it over to Diamond so she can give us some of the platforms that she's on and so that we can make contact with her and then we'll just wrap it up from here. Diamond,
Okay,
how can you make contact? Yes.
yes. Again, my name is Diamond Shakir. I am the Dynasty Realtor covering the Charlotte metro area, so all of the 16 counties. You can follow me on Instagram, TikTok at the Dynasty Realtor, and Facebook is Diamond Shakir. If you are on that medium mostly, you can contact me pretty much anytime. I'm extremely responsive. Don't hesitate. I have links in my bios. You can book an appointment for a free buyer or seller consultation because not only do I help with buyers, there's some financial tips as on the selling end as well that you have to prepare for. So just let me know. I'm here.
All right. Thank you, Diamond. We are going to definitely have you back on this show talking about are your finances driving you crazy? Because I think a lot of the information you gave was spectacular, to be able to utilize, especially just talking about getting your credit together, having that budgeting component in place, and putting people in a position where they can actually purchase a home. Because, of course, here in Charlotte, the market is wild right now and it's pricing a lot of people out. So we definitely love this information. Any final things you want to just let us know, Dom, that you just want to put out there so people to understand that, purchasing, buying, keeping your budget together, your credit card utilization, these things, why it's important and what we can do to help, what can be beneficial at this point.
I guess in conclusion, the only thing that I can say is that just it's never don't let any rumors or anything like that stop you from buying a home or selling a home, but in particularly buying, you buy when you are financially ready. When you are ready to buy, then it's time to buy. It doesn't really matter what the environment is because real estate at the end of the day will always be one of the biggest vehicles for wealth. So just make sure if you're following these tips and you're tuning into this podcast and this radio show and learning how to be financially savvy, saving 20%, of your money. And it's so deep. Like I could go on and on and on and on about this topic. But the main key is just knowing when you are financially secure, you should be making that investment. If you can buy a home, you definitely need to sooner than later.
Got you. Thank you so much, Diamond. And again, she will be back with us again. I want everyone to make sure that they tune in to our next show. We'll have Diamond Shakir back to talk about a lot of these things that is real important to us now in this economy, living in, the day of the present, living in the present, today and now. So come back and talk with us and hear what we have to say on We Got Options with the Doctor and Son. And we will see you guys again next week.